It's been about an hour since we winter sowed our seedlings, or our seeds, and guess what? That snow is falling. Look how much snow is collecting in this pan. Hey guys, welcome. Today we will be winter sowing using the Ziploc bag method. I prefer this method over the traditional milk jugs and containers, and I'll explain later why. So today we are about to sow some burgundy broccoli, purple broccoli, bunching onion, and shallots. Now I've already prepared some bags and sowed some other seeds, and I'll tell you later, I think maybe towards the end, of which seeds I've already done. So with your Ziploc bag, you can have any Ziploc bag, a cheap one, it doesn't matter. That's why I used the one for $1 store. Some scissors, something to write on your bags with. I'm using a pen because I cannot find a Sharpie, and then I'm also using a pencil just to poke down some of the seeds. I may or may not have to use it. You need a clothing pen and a spray bottle. Make sure you get potting mix and get either put it in a bucket or a container, and you make sure you wet that potting mix. All right, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut at the bottom of that Ziploc bag. And you're going to make a small triangle. Now, I have to cut a little further because these bags that I got, they fold at the bottom. Now, do not do what I do as far as cutting so far up. Just do a small triangle. I have to cut further because of how the bag is made. You're going to do 3 triangles at the bottom. Make them skinny because you don't want the dirt to fall all out. Now you need to find the middle section of your Ziploc bag, and you're going to fold in between the middle section and the top of the bag. Now you're going to fold in between that middle section, just like that, and you're going to cut 3 triangles along that seam like we did at the bottom, but you're going to make these triangles small, even smaller than before. Because if you make them too wide, once you unfold the bag, you'll have really large diamonds. So we're just using these as our ventilation holes, and they don't need to be too big. Your slits here shouldn't be that big because once you unfold it, it will make a diamond, and you don't need your really big diamonds. This is just for ventilation up here. So the bottom slits are for drainage, and up here is for ventilation. So it should look something like that. So after you've made all of your cuts and slits, you want to put today's date and what you are sewing in the bag. So I am going to write what I'm sewing in the order of which I'm going to sew. And you'll see here in a second. I will be doing my shallots first, then my burgundy broccoli, then my bunching onion, and then my purple broccoli. If you are sowing multiple seeds in a Ziploc bag, you want to make sure you have something to divide the seeds. Sometimes they'll spill over, but you'll know what's what and make sure you have something to label. If you can see in the upright corner, this is a picture from my last year's winter sowing in Ziploc bags, and I use popsicle sticks to label each section, and also I broke the popsicle stick in half to use as dividers in the bags. Now you're going to take your pre-moistened potting mix and put it in the bag, and you're going to fill it up, I'd say either halfway or a little less than halfway. Now, if it's just leafy greens and stuff, I'll do a little less than halfway, but if it's something with bigger roots, I will do halfway. You want to make sure you are putting enough soil in there because once it's outside in the rain and the snow and everything falls down on that soil, it's going to end up compacting. And we're also going to press it down once we put our seeds in. So that's why you want to make sure there's plenty of enough soil in there, especially because once those roots form, you want them to have plenty enough space to grow. When you start to put the seeds into the bag, be sure to not to overseed them. Now, there are some seeds that I do want a little more of, so I will put maybe like 6 seeds or so. However, you also want to kind of pay attention to the back of the seeds packets to see how far apart to grow everything. Just keep it in mind. You don't have to necessarily go by it, but I kind of use it as a guide just a little bit. If it says space them 2 inches apart, I'm like, okay, an inch and a half is okay because they're not going to stay there forever. We're just using the bags to start us off, and we're going to use these seedlings for transplants later on. I prefer the Ziploc bag method for winter sowing because it is just a lot simpler, easier, and I found that some of my seedlings actually grew better in the Ziploc bags than they did the jugs and the containers. The bottom left is the blue curl kale sowed in the Ziploc bags, and on the right is the same seedlings sowed in a milk jug. As you can see, the kale in the Ziploc bag had its true leaves before in the milk jugs, and they were sold the same exact time. And hands down, the Ziploc bags won me over. I was able to just zoom through the process. So once you get those seedlings into the bag, you want to make sure you spray it down with your water bottle. And then you're going to zip up the top of the Ziploc bag, but leave a little opening at the end to add your clip. Hey guys, so we have made it outside with our bags in our tray. This is what everything looks like. We have a second tray down here. So I had already prepared some of these bags. It was the herbs I sold were lemon balm, thyme, parsley, and dill. I sowed some regular green broccoli, artichoke, cauliflower, Swiss chard, the different varieties of Swiss chard, spinach, leeks. Oh no, that said leeks. This says mustard greens, collard greens, and turnips. And then in the second pan, I have the blue collar kale, free kale that I got in dino kale, and what we just sowed today. So we're going to see how everything does. It is a winter storm. It's on its way. It's starting to come now. It is 10 degrees out. It was 0 degrees last night. Hey guys, it's been about an hour since we winter sowed our seedlings, or our seeds. And guess what? That snow is falling. Look how much snow is collecting in this pan. It is so cold, y'all. I think it said it's 10 degrees right now. Look at this pan. And it's okay that we don't put a frost cover on these right now because there's nothing growing yet. So once we get some seedlings, then we will start the cover. But you guys stay warm. I'm getting my butt back up in the house because it is 10 degrees and it's going to be below 0 today. Like and subscribe.